Hello, and thank you for being here, David Cobb.
Thank you.
My name's Henk. This is David Cobb. David Cobb, right off the bat, please tell me about October 8th, 2004.
Well, Hank, what I know and what you know, and I'm excited to share with your audience, is that was the date that I and Michael Badnarik, Libertarian candidate for President of the United States, were arrested for having the audacity to try to deliver a show cause order to the Commission on Presidential Debates to justify why they had excluded both of us from the presidential debates at the St. Louis University.
You were the Green Party candidate, National Green Party candidate for President of the United States.
That's correct. I was duly nominated to be the Green Party's nominee for President of the United States in 2004, and was on enough ballots to be elected president that year.
Yes. Did you, on that fateful day, did you plan that? Did you think, hey, I'm being excluded, what can I do? Or did you go down somewhere and say, and like make demands and they just unleash the police on you?
Well, the answer is both, to be very blunt. Michael Badnarik and I both expected to be arrested because that's how the system works. The system is literally designed, Hank, to prevent the existence of alternative political parties. And I want to be clear, this system is not just designed to prevent the success of alternative political parties. This system is designed to prevent our very existence. So the fact that the Green Party exists and continues to elect people to office, the fact that the Libertarian Party exists and elect people to office in this so-called two-party system is a threat to the ruling elite. So Michael Badnarik and I both went to the St. Louis University with the intention of delivering a show cause order to the Commission on Presidential Debates, which is literally a private corporation that runs those presidential debates, to say we are being excluded, we should not be excluded, and we attempted to cross a police line in order to deliver that show cause order.
So you were very aware that you were a presidential candidate.
Oh, of course.
And which is a very, I would imagine, is a very, I'm going to be honest, would seem like a weight on your shoulders. That it's not something you do every day. I won't go into why, but I'm very aware that when people get arrested, most people within the first 24 hours become suicidal. It's actually a really traumatic experience. People, I think, would be frightened of getting arrested because they might lose their job, their family might disapprove of them, right? We read in all the headlines, but I know when it comes down to actually getting arrested, it's a serious thing. Were you ever arrested? Were you scared at that time?
Listen, Hank, I've been arrested for nonviolent civil disobedience. I like to joke that when I ran for president, I ran on my arrest record. I've been to jail for justice, just as Martin Luther King Jr. has been to jail for justice. There's a long line of people who have been willing to engage in intentional, deliberate, and strategic nonviolent civil disobedience. So it was an intentional act. I was very clear that I was violating the Commission on Presidential Debates rules, which I felt were, and still do, believe that they were unjust. So I do believe that what I was doing was morally correct, even though it was technically illegal. That's what nonviolent civil disobedience means. You are disobeying, in a respectful way, the law.
I've been a coward my whole life because even though I've been active politically, I've drawn the line on never being arrested because I'm worried that it would be affecting me as a father because I have kids. I might lose my job, right? And I'm sure there's a lot of people who are kind of stifled on how far they can take their passion for politics and change in the world, right? And this is why I turned it, because I've told you in the past, I greatly admire you, and this is why I greatly admire you, because you put a lot online for this kind of faith. Other people that might get arrested, is it so bad? Should they fear? How do the judges respond to you and putting you in jail and letting you out of jail?
Listen, thank you for the compliment. It means a lot to me. I do appreciate it. And I want to be really transparent with you that I would never ask somebody to go to jail for justice or engage in nonviolent civil disobedience unless they were inspired and compelled to do so, right? So there are plenty of things that we can do for social change work that don't include nonviolent civil disobedience. But in this case, being excluded from the presidential debates, preventing the voice. See, to me, it wasn't just, and to Michael Badnarik, we talked about this together. It was not just that our constitutional rights to free speech were being violated, which they were, but more deeply, Henk, that the American people were being deprived of hearing voices that were outside the so-called two-party system. We were the only two candidates calling for an end to the illegal, immoral war in Iraq that year. We were the only two candidates calling for the abolition and deconstruction of the so-called Patriot Act, which was a clear and is a clear violation of the civil liberties of the United States.
Yes.
I'll go one further. I was the only candidate on the ballot calling to treat healthcare as a fundamental human right and guarantee health care using a single-payer system. I was the only candidate calling to raise the minimum wage to a true living wage. I could go down the list of policy positions that have super majorities in this country that the Republican and Democratic parties leadership are opposed to. Yes. So to me, we were engaged in nonviolent civil disobedience, not only for our rights to speak, but for the American people's right to hear that there is an alternative that they could vote for.
I remember 2004 very clearly, and I agree with all of this stuff. You have perfect vision of these things, that we had good faith after 9/11, and we ruined it by going to this nonsensical war. No Democrats stopped it. There was never the crises that were at hand, financial, everything. You were on the right side of history. But that also brings me to my next question. So we've covered the point. Yes, very right up on top. When two parties are corrupt, they expect people to be apathetic. I agree with you when you said just now that they don't want the Green Party to exist because it would be a viable alternative and you have to take away that hope. And that's where I've been a registered Green Party for 30 years and I've always found hope in the Green Party because there's a fantasy of what it would be like if somebody took office that wasn't bought by corporate money and had the interest of the environment first. Would blow my mind. But all this, to me, I'm a behavioralist. Mm-hmm. I don't believe I love Mordor as a fiction and a great book, but I don't believe it's true. I think we can learn to be optimistic, we can learn to stop being helpless, and we can teach each other. What do you believe that's true? That we can change all of this? We can take this pessimism that exists, because you look. I know every conversation I had is two parties. I don't want to vote. I don't want to vote because the two parties are corrupt. Well, but these other guys, they're a joke. Mm-hmm. And within these two people, these two parties, everyone's really angry at each other. But you say, well, there's a third party, so that's just throwing away your vote. So everyone kind of dismisses all of this. This one ability, this thing that's able to change the world. That's the way I see the Green Party.
Well, I think it's a great question, and it's a multi-layered question.
Yes.
So I want to give a complete, accurate answer to it. Number one, I like how you framed it, because I don't think that people are apathetic. I think they're cynical. In other words, apathy means they don't care. People care. They're cynical because they don't believe that their vote matters. And it's hard to argue with that when they see supermajorities in favor of all the policies that are progressive policies that never get changed through the ballot box. But I like to remind people of what it took in this country to make systemic transformational change. Not tinkering at the margins changes, I mean big changes. Mm-hmm. And the role that electoral politics has played. Because to me, the recipe is actually quite simple to describe. It's very hard to do it, but it's actually simple to understand. And it goes like this. First, you need a mass movement that is broad, deep, conscious, and educated, and willing to engage together collectively, right? A mass movement. Secondly, you need an electoral party that is at the ballot box advocating for the principles, values, and program of that party. And if you get both of those two things happening together, you can literally make revolutionary change in a peaceful way. Let me give you the list of what it took so-called third parties, what I like to call alternative parties to the two-party system. Here's the list of what so-called second parties or alternative parties championed at the ballot box that was originally fought against by the two parties. Ready? The abolition of slavery. Women getting the right to vote. The creation of the Social Security Administration. Unemployment insurance. Workers' compensation laws. Pure food and drug laws. Ending child labor. The direct election of the United States Senate. Hey, for goodness sakes, the entire fabric of what we today would consider the bare damn minimum for a decent and just society, that entire fabric was woven together thread by thread, strand by strand, by third-party activists before us. People who did their work when they were called naive and unrealistic. People who did that work when they were called dangerous un-Americans. And people who did that work when they were called spoilers. So I submit to you and to your audience that if we want to live in a world that will dismantle empire, that will end war as foreign policy, that will guarantee a right to health care and art and culture and housing, the things that we need to survive, guarantee those as a human right, to restructure the society into the peaceful, just, democratic, and ecologically sustainable society we deserve to live in, we've got to have the same courage, clarity, and intellectual historical understanding that people before us did. Because you're right, it is learned optimism, and we've been taught and trained into cynicism, that we don't have power. We, the people, have far more power than we dare to believe, and I believe that electoral politics has a role to play. Last point I want to make is this. If you believe that I want systemic change and all you ever do is vote every 2 to 4 years, you're wasting your time. But there's a corollary to that. If you believe that you want systemic transformational change and you don't vote for candidates calling for systemic change, you're wasting an opportunity. Mass movements and electoral politics together. So it's not just hope. It is learned optimism based on objective data, on the history of what has happened before. It is possible to do this. There is a path forward. And the Democratic Party and its presidential primary process is where progressive politics goes to die. Because whether it's Dennis Kucinich, whether it's Howard Dean, whether it's Bernie Sanders, whether it's Jesse Jackson, you can go down the list, and what you find is all the enthusiasm, the energy, and excitement that happens within the Democratic Party. It ultimately gets squashed by the neoliberals who control the apparatus of the Democratic Party, and all that enthusiasm is basically dissipated. That's why we have to build the Green Party as an institutional force that has clarity about not just running for office, but our vision for how to change the world.
I think a way to a way to teach optimism is to two things. One of the two things is to get people to know that their actions can change the world. So they are in control of their life, their failures and successes. So that's a really important part of, I think would be a part of change, is that we have to give people power to be part of the Green Party and come in, know where they can best fit in and make a change in the world that they actually dream about doing.
So I love that, and it reminds me of the great thinker and sociologist Margaret Mead, who said, "Never doubt that a small, committed group of people can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has."
Can the Green Party be that kind of beacon where it is included already, but something where people can become useful and change?
I believe that sincerely and completely. The Green Party is a mechanism for people to come and get involved. And so you and I have the privilege of working together in the Green Party of Humboldt County. There's a Green Party in California. There's Green Party organizers all across this country. And it is the only political party that refuses to seek or accept corporate money.
Yes.
So we have basically made a commitment that we will not allow the corruption that runs rampant in the two corporate parties.
It runs principally on individual donations.
Correct.
Yes, which is both wonderful but also crippling to the party.
It is.
But
I don't
when
disagree.
it does meet its day, it will be a good day. All right. Actually, a lot of this is one of the things I've read about you. We really haven't talked that much, so people that may think these are two guys that know each other well. I barely know you. Well, one thing that I've read about you is that as corporations, recently corporations are allowed to have political power and clout, right? And open PACs, political action committees, whatever they are, right? And so corporations with Supreme Court rulings in the past have gotten tremendous power in our world, and individuals really are having less power. So I read that you've actually tried to limit corporations' power. So there you go.
Sure.
I just wanted to say, can you tell me about that?
Sure. And yes, so look, I ran for attorney.
No, it's okay.
Okay. Well, hello, Governor Peanut Butter. This is Governor Peanut Butter. For those of you who know BoJack Horseman, there's a character named Mr. Peanut Butter who's a yellow lab who ran for governor. So that's his namesake. So Henk, when I was the co-founder of the Green Party of Texas, where I managed Ralph Nader's presidential campaign in 2000. In 2002, I quit my position as a very successful trial lawyer in order to run for Attorney General in the state of Texas, pledging to revoke the charters of corporations that routinely violate safety, health, environmental protection, and worker safety laws. These are on the books now. If there was the political will by attorneys general, either Democrats or Republicans, we could hold corporations accountable for so much of the harm that they do by revoking their charters. A charter is the birth certificate of a corporation. So that's one approach. Another approach is a constitutional amendment to abolish the court-created, totally illegitimate idea that a corporation has inherent rights that are meant for human beings. The corporate right to free speech, or the corporate right to the Fifth Amendment, or any corporate constitutional right is completely illegitimate because a corporation is literally a creature of the state statute. It is a legal fiction. It only came into existence because of the laws of a particular state, which means that it is a political entity and it could be controlled, but it's not, because of the lack of the political will of attorneys general, and because federal courts, including the U.S. Supreme Court, have illegitimately held that these corporations have inalienable rights. And this is important because as a human being, you and I have human rights that cannot be violated through the political process, right? If we wanted to get married, we have a right to do so because it is our inherent inalienable right as people to choose to marry who we want. But a corporation has no rights whatsoever that are constitutional rights. Corporations have statutory rights that can be amended or changed through the political process. So I helped to form a group called Move to Amend, an effort to abolish in its entirety the odious idea that a corporation has constitutional rights at all, and also to abolish the equally odious, also illegitimate and incorrect idea that that the spending of money is political speech. Money is property, it's not speech. Money is an amplifier of speech, but it's not speech. the very fact that we're having this conversation, it's protected. But we can't, we don't have enough money to put it onto the broadcast airwaves, right? So yes, and I want to conclude with this. I don't think that corporations are merely exercising power anymore. Corporations are ruling us. As surely as masters once ruled slaves, as surely as kings once ruled subjects, unelected and unaccountable corporate CEOs are ruling over us. And that's why I'm committed to building a mass movement where the Green Party is the electoral arm of that movement to exercise our right to self-government.
I cannot agree with you more. I think what you do is great because I am a very angry person and very discontent. I wish I had the nerve to stand in front of semi-trucks as they came out of the port carrying Amazon corporate crap. I wish I had the audacity to stand by one of the few remaining giant redwood trees. Wish I had the gumption to stop offshore oil drilling. I live in fear of what I've lost because really I think that these things are real. They're not hypothetical. They're not a part of a political debate that the Democrats, Republicans keep us saying, oh, that you must be a Democrat, oh, you must promote. This is science, and we are facing a quick extinction that affects all of us because time moves swiftly, and this stuff is coming upon us, and it's important, it's real. So I wish that there was a way I can make a deeper impact. And one of those ways I would do is through non-violent action. And so I just want to say, I admire that, and if someone is righteous, I wish there was more of that so we can make a better change. And I wish people like you would make a better change because you're doing it legitimately. Finally, because it's probably a long video, is the news of the day. Green Party, we now have Jill Stein, who's, today is October 11th? 10th?
It's November.
November 10th, sorry. And it's funny, my birthday is in 5 days, I should know this. So the news of the day is Jill Stein has decided to run for president. Mm-hmm. About 2 or 3 weeks ago, Cornel West was running for president as the Green Party candidate, but he's decided to become an independent. Now, the Green Party in California in 22 had the lefty unity slate ticket where they endorsed peace and freedom candidates over Green Party candidates. So it's kind of in a way, for me, when I look at the Green Party, it's hard to predict where people are going to support this kind of this new development. Will Green Party voters go for Cornel West? Will it divide that? Will they automatically say, okay, well, we're going to go? What's your prediction? How is this going to happen? So it's a big question.
Yeah, it's a big question.
But that's a big thing that happened today.
Listen, it is a huge thing that happened. I want to back up because you asked for my prediction and I don't have one because this election year is going to be look, first of all, you have two candidates for the two major parties, Donald Trump and Joe Biden. They're losers. Nobody likes those candidates. They just hate the other, right? So there's that. But wait, there's more. R.F. Kennedy Jr. is running as an independent and is already polling huge numbers. But wait, there's more. There's the possibility of a no-labels party getting on the ballot and running centrist campaigns, which we haven't seen since Ross Perot. But wait, there's more, because as you mentioned, Cornel West, arguably the most beloved progressive public intellectual in the United States today. When he announced that he was running for president, I was inspired. When he announced that he was seeking the Green Party's nomination, I was over the moon. I thought, oh my God, this is going to look like Nader 2000. This is going to give us an opportunity to grow and work into constituencies, especially within the African American community and the faith community, in ways that we've never done before. I was so ecstatic. Then a few weeks ago, he announced that he was not seeking the Green Party's nomination. He was in fact going to run as an independent, and I was devastated. I was surprised, but I was also incredibly sad. And I think, and I say this candidly, I think that's a huge mistake on Cornel West's part. I think that he's going to find it's really hard to get on the ballot. He's going to find that it's really hard to sustain such efforts. And for all the faults of the Green Party, we exist. We have infrastructure. We have a platform. We have a program. We have literally hundreds of thousands of members across the country. And historically, we have earned millions of votes. And we've elected, get this, over 1,400 people have been elected as registered Greens into offices across the country. Then, when he announced that he was not running, just yesterday, I saw the news that Jill Stein had announced that she was seeking the Green Party's nomination. So, I'm still processing all of that.
So are you her campaign manager?
I am absolutely not her campaign
That's
manager.
the big question.
That's a fair question, and I'm just telling you, no.
So you're not? Okay, I believe you. Yeah.
No, I am not.
Wow, okay,
No.
so bigger...
Listen, I was Jill Stein. I was the campaign manager for Jill in 2016 for the Stein-Baraka campaign. Proud of the effort that I did there, but I don't understand what Jill is doing. I don't know. She did not contact me, so I have no insight to offer.
It is chaotic. I guess the best word, the way I could describe it right now is chaotic. It's not like anything I've ever seen before.
Or chaotic is the right word, and we won't really have a better handle on it for a while. I'll tell you this, Hank, I know we're being recorded. I still harbor that much hope that perhaps Cornel West will reconsider and seek the Green Party's nomination, because I think he would win it if he sought it, and I think that it would be good for him. It would be good for the Green Party, and it would be good for this country.
Yes. Most people at home don't know that you have to get on the ballot at all 50 states. You don't just get on the ballot.
Yeah, it's individual, state by state by state.
It takes an army of people, and you have to campaign each. You cannot, as an independent, duplicating all the resources of an existing party seems kind of crazy to me.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah,
I don't understand what Cornel West is doing. I don't understand what Jill Stein is doing.
All right. Well, I hope we get through more, but maybe we can do this again, see how this goes. Obviously, but I think we got some good talk.
Well, thank you, Hank. I would be more than happy to sit down with you again, and I want to thank you. I also want to circle back and say that you are doing what is within your, not just comfort zone, but what you're able to do. So I appreciate that you have decided to not just hate the corporate media, but to become media and generate media. I also appreciate that you're taking your anger at this racist, sexist, class oppressive society and have made a commitment to do something. Yeah. And I will submit to you and to your audience that there's something magical. Look, we should be angry at the injustice and the destruction of the planet. We should be angry about that. But if we get angry and just stay angry, that's dangerous. As a social worker, you know that is a very damaging thing.
Yes.
To allow anger to stew and to exist in you. What I found is this, Hank. If I allow injustice to make me angry, but then find avenues of action to try to address those root causes of that anger,
yes,
it literally becomes joy. Because my spiritual and political practice is that I am not assigned by the goddess or the universe or higher power or however you describe that. My assignment is not to succeed or to win. My assignment is to be the best version of myself I can be, to do my best. So I try very hard to assess the situation, figure out what's going on, make and implement plans to the best of my ability, being willing to adapt and change as I go along. But here's the key: release the result. I can't guarantee that we will stop the climate crisis. I can't guarantee
Right.
that we will stop this horrific war in Gaza. I cannot guarantee healthcare, but I can guarantee that I have done my best to articulate a new world and to do what I can to have in myself learned optimism and inspire others to it as well.
Yes, it's very important.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Let's do
Hank.
this again.
All right. Peace.
All right.